What's cooking, everybody? David Porkchop here, and we got another list of stuff not on DVD and home video that I want here. But before we get into that, a quick little bit of house cleaning here. The audio sounds different because I'm using a body mic this time around for convenience. And it's taken me several tries and false starts in order for me to get this video up and running. And yes, body mic, I'm referring to those kinds they use on TV where you see the little things sticking on the person's lapel or whatever when they're being recorded on television and such. I'm doing it for convenience, so I don't have to take apart my phone case and put in my little mini condenser mic there pointed at me and then have it sound, really awkwardly and whatnot. Also because it's been pretty hard for me to record audio because I'm either very tired or busy during points when the audio here where I'm recording is quiet versus when, the audio is quiet and I just don't have the energy. So it's a bit of pick your poison there, basically. Also, let me see here. I ended up getting a copy of Muppet Family Christmas from my family, so thank you for that. Much appreciated. So now I have that for what it's worth. Okay, and originally I was going to do just 10 items, and there were some things that popped in my head after I did the initial list and whatnot there. But then other stuff started popping up there, and I really didn't want to do another honorable mentions bit there. Because some of the stuff in the honorable mentions bit there is stuff that probably should, that deserves a release or whatever, and probably more interesting to more mainstream type of things there and whatnot as well. So there you are. Also, I'm withdrawing the bit about Song of the South because upon reevaluating it, I realized that was a pretty bad choice there. So no Song of the South there. I do not want that ever released on DVD or home video within the U.S. So anyway, yeah, this is my own little list here, so we're going to go into it here. And I got 17 items. 17 items here. Movies, shows, whatever. There you go. And some of them were, to be fair, some of them were released on DVD and home video, or even Laserdisc, but some of them are either out of print or were never released at all. So, some of them might be available to watch online, partially or otherwise there, but still, the fact of having a physical, an actual physical copy is still appealing to me and appealing to many people, even though the convenience of having a digital copy is convenient, of course, But, there you go. That just shows that I'm old and I prefer physical media, but whatever. Anyway, we got 17 items here, so what do you say we just dive right into this shit, shall we? Alright, this is 17 things not on DVD or home video that I want. I'm not sure if that's what the title of the video will be, but that's what I'm going to go with when I'm recording this. So, kazaa. Let's begin. Number 17, Sebastian's Caribbean Jamboree / Party Gras. Okay, now these are a couple of concerts that were recorded in Disney World or Disneyland or whatever. The actor who does the voice of Sebastian the Crab from The Little Mermaid, Sam Wright, sings some standards and some other party songs or whatever, just having a good clean fun or whatnot there. I know that Sebastian's Caribbean Jamboree was recorded, I think, in Disneyland or Disney World. Party Gras, I'm not so sure about. But this was released on home video. I still have the VHS copy, my sister's VHS copy from 1991, I believe. And when I looked it up, Party Gras and Caribbean Jamboree were released together on the same Laserdisc because Caribbean Jamboree was only like about a half. It was a pretty short bit there. So not enough to fill a Laserdisc, so I guess they put both on there to, give you more value for your money there, I guess. So, which is fine. Also, it featured an annoying trope that I dislike, that, oddly enough, I figured I would have expected this from Hanna-Barbera or Warner Brothers, but Disney was the one that did this, and this is not the only time that Disney will do this on this particular list. We'll get to that, I'll promise me. The one where they take the original animation, and instead of just cutting the actual whole entire scene of the animation and just redubbing it, they actually cut the animation part out, some particular piece of animation, replace the background with whatever's going on currently to fill their plot or story or whatever, and also redub it there. But it's so shameless because if you're familiar with The Little Mermaid, you recognize all the animation from the Caribbean Jamboree that was used, you know? It's just silly that they recycle it as such here. But it was done to capitalize on the whole Little Mermaid thing. Disney was in the middle of the Disney Renaissance, and pretty much anything that was Disney related there was selling on home video and such here, so good for them, you know. Well, what you gonna do? Yeah, I still have my VHS copy of Caribbean Jamboree, but it would be nice to have it on DVD. Which I don't recall if it was ever released on DVD, but if it has, then it's out of print, I guess, or I just haven't found it, or if it hasn't, then, you know, get it out there. But either way, if you know for certain, let me know. But for now, I'm just going to keep that at number 17 on this list, okay? So, what do you say we move on here, okay? Number 16, Wienerville, the Nickelodeon puppet show from 1993 to 1997. It won some awards and brought Mark Weiner to the forefront there for Nickelodeon. It was a great show. There was lots of specials and stuff like that here. But yet, and it was also very exciting because when Nickelodeon had their own, when they took one of their channels and put older stuff on there, which they call it the Splat, but I thought Nickstalgia would have been a better name for it, but I digress. They started showing some old stuff there, like, you know, all that, Kenan and Kel, Rugrats, and, you know, some of the older stuff, you know. They even had older stuff, like Double Dare, Hidden Temple, and they even had Wienerville. They had a couple of episodes of Wienerville pop up, and I'm like, oh, cool. So I set my DVR to record those. But lo and behold, my DVR, unless my DVR is playing shenanigans with me, has only recorded 2 episodes ever of Wienerville, which really pissed me off. And of course, there were no cartoons in the middle of in there as well, so I guess there's some legal issues with some of the cartoons, even though my understanding is that they were supposed to be public domain cartoons, but they probably weren't, so whatever. But yeah, I would say these would be popular. These would be pretty popular if they were to put them in like a collection or something, a DVD. And Mark Weiner is still around. I mean, check out his YouTube page and his very recent episodes of Don't Ask Boney are among some of the funniest things on YouTube that you haven't seen there. So I highly recommend you check them out there. So you know. I mean, his name is Boney. His Boney. Leave him alone. Well, definitely don't leave him alone in this regard here. Bother him and bother Nickelodeon to see if we can get Wienerville on DVD, you know? If they have to edit the cartoons out or whatever like they did with the episodes of Wienerville here, then fine. Or substitute them with other cartoons. Hey, put fucking Nicktoons in there instead. Unless if the cartoon actually has to do with the plot of the story or whatever, then fine, you know? Or maybe create some original Wienerville cartoons and stuff to go in there so therefore you can have your cake and eat it too, you know? Create some original content for the DVDs or something, and then there you go. I mean, it's a bit of a risk, I know, and sometimes with releasing this stuff there, you don't have enough of your meager budget there to create special content just for the DVDs. I get that, but, you know, make it a manufacturer-on-demand thing, and if based on how it sells there, you can see a wide retail release and maybe make some more money, you know? Why the hell not? Give it a shot, you know? Oh, well. Let's see. Let's continue, shall we? Next. Number 15, The Tick Animated Series Season 3, and the 2 missing episodes from the U.S. release of the Season 1 and Season 2 on DVD. Okay, now, the Tick Animated Series, admittedly, was not one of my favorites initially, but it grew on me, especially when I realized that he was the mascot for New England Comics, and me being from New England there, hey, yeah, because I got to support my home area there, of course, most certainly. And he had the animated series on Fox, which was fun and whatnot there. I was probably more into the serious stuff at the time and not old enough to appreciate the sense of humor, though, that the Tick represented. But apparently a lot of other people were, because that parlayed into a brief live-action series, and there's a new live-action series coming up soon on Amazon or Hulu or whatever the heck it is there. I'm like, wow, go figure. I had no idea that this character has such a cult following, though. But it's easy to see why, because it's such a likable, funny character, you know, overall. And hence why the animated series Started off on Fox, and then I think it ended up on Comedy Central. Although I don't know if that's an adult thing, or if it was just because they needed a place to put that stuff. When Fox wouldn't air certain episodes, or if they just stopped airing them. I don't know. But either way, seasons. There were 3 seasons, and seasons 1 and 2 were released. But apparently, each of those seasons is missing an episode. And it's not like Ninja Turtles when, during the course of their 10 seasons, Season 5 had 2 missing episodes that were not put on the DVD. One was a primetime special that was re-aired as a 2-parter in the show. And another episode, a very popular episode, one of my favorites, also was not aired, that was not put on the set for some reason, and left off without explanation. But they ultimately did put those episodes on DVD on the Season 10 DVD set. So if you buy the complete series, you get it in the complete series on that one there. So I don't know for whatever reason why they didn't do that, properly. But at least with this one, I think it's because I don't know if it was one of the episodes or both the episodes where they make fun of either Cindy Crawford or Galactus or something. I don't know. But there's supposedly some legal issues that were keeping those from being released in the U.S. or something, from my understanding. I don't recall if they were released overseas, and I don't know if the 3rd season of The Tick was released overseas or whatever, but as far as I know, it hasn't been released here in the U.S. So, get that out there. Complete it there. You're so close. You're only 1 season away, And if you're making fun of one of these things there, shouldn't you be protected under Section 72 or parody or whatever the hell it is that all those YouTube videos have when they're using stuff for fair use or whatever, Make it clear that it's a parody and try to sort that legal stuff out, Or if Marvel or Cindy Crawford wants to complain about it, give them some money. When you give people money, people tend to stop complaining, usually. Why not try that here? Anyway, let's continue on here, and in the immortal words of the great Tick himself, spoon! Number 14, today's special. This is another Nickelodeon. This is a Nickelodeon show from the early era of Nickelodeon here, and it will not be the first one. It won't be the last one you'll see on this list too. But we'll get to that later. This is the show that came from Canada, along with many others, including the next one on this list here. But like I said, we'll get to that in a minute there, and also from the early era, which we'll also get to as well. But this one takes place in a department store closed for the evening. You have a mannequin that comes to life. You have a puppet who's a security guard. You got a mouse. You have cartoons and learning adventures and all kinds of fun stuff like that, And it went on for quite a while there, and I remember very vividly having a catchy theme song. It had lots of singing and dancing, and I remember there was one segment where they were talking about, they would cut to footage of a vehicle or whatever, having different wheels, and it was like an extended version of the wheels in the bus go around and around, I believe. And one of the characters was on a unicycle, and I think it was the first time I've ever seen a unicycle. I'm like, what the heck is that? It's like a broken bicycle, and that was like one of the most wild things ever, and so it just stuck out to me there. So I had a lot of stuff in there that was very memorable there for me, and I imagine it has to be a lot of memorable stuff in there for other kids as well, who grew up with this stuff here, before people grew up with Teletubbies and SpongeBob and Blue's Clues and things like that there. They grew up with stuff like this, so... Give it some kudos there, put some of them out there on DVD. Make it budget titles or something, where you have a handful of episodes. Make it affordable and test the waters for a wider retail release. Have Nickelodeon acknowledge more of its history there. And speaking of its history, though, we got another very popular show here, and one that has had only very limited release here. Let's get to it, shall we? Another show on the glorious Nickelodeon. Number 13, Sharon, Lois, and Bram's Elephant Show. If you just had one of those moments where you're like, oh, I remember that, believe me, you're not alone there, buddy, because I forgot that about the show as well. But then it randomly popped in my head, and then it just opened the floodgates, and I watched some clips on YouTube, and I found it to be very entertaining. I'm like, I remember this, and I thought it was the coolest thing. I'm like, As a kid there, it was definitely, I don't know if it was necessarily one of my all-time favorites, because it didn't stick with me there, but it did have an impact on me when I saw it. I'm like, okay, so it did have significance and meaning to me there, and it had to lots of other people, and it was, it was a ratings hit for Nickelodeon. It went on for several years. Bram ended up having a spinoff show. I don't know if he had another show later. I don't know if it was a spinoff show or whatever. And I think there was another attempt at an elephant show later on. One of the performers passed away not too long ago, and the other ones still perform together regularly. They just recently released their last album of new material. And apparently there was plans for there to be a DVD release back in the early 2010s, but apparently, sadly, those fell through for whatever reason, and those plans were abandoned. I'd like to see them revisit those plans. Have a release of some of their best hits and stuff, and put some of this, like the themes, the memorable theme song, Skinamarink and whatnot. There, Skinamarink TV. That was the other show. That was what the other show was called. There, yeah. And also had the dude in the elephant costume, which I thought was really cool. I mean, I knew it was a dude in an elephant costume, but that's just a thing. That kind of stuff just interested me, and I don't know why. But this is another hit from Canada that came over to the United States, and it just seems kind of weird when you look at Nickelodeon nowadays and how Nickelodeon is trying to copy Disney Channel, except with better cartoons for the most part, usually. And then you got stuff like Ninja Turtles and Power Rangers and stuff on there nowadays versus how it was back then. It was a little bit more with real people and all these really bizarre things and stuff. Like you can't do that on television and whatnot there. So there you go. But Sarah Lois and Bram's Sarah Lois and Bram's Elephant Show. Skinamarink dicky dig, skinamarink doo. We love you. I know that's not the way the song goes. We loved you in the morning and in the afternoon. Get the show on DVD and we'll be thankful to you. Yeah, I'm never singing again. Next. Number 12, Toxic Crusaders from 1990/1991. Okay, before you say anything, hear me out. Just hear me out. Before you send your hate mail about, oh, that's garbage, it's sacrilegious, it's the guy who created Toxic, he totally hates this show and everything like that, or whatever. I mean, that's fine. Just hear me out, please. All right? Keep an open mind. I was not aware of the Toxic Avenger before this show came out. This show came up out of nowhere, and I thought it was like a mix of Ninja... It came across to me initially, because I didn't know any better, it was a cross between Captain Planet and Ninja Turtles. But it had all this gross stuff there, and it was really cool, catchy theme song, and the animation was pretty colorful or whatnot there, and I thought, oh, this is interesting, And then later on, not too long later on, I saw an edited version of one of the movies. I think the one where he fights the devil or something. It was very heavily edited, and I thought it was fun for what it was. Then years later, I came to know of the Toxic Avenger and its true origins from Troma. God damn it, Troma, you are sick son of a bitches there, I'm telling you. You guys all are. I wouldn't have it any other way. That's just totally awesome. And I came to know of the original versions and such here, and grew to appreciate them for what they were. And it's just kind of weird that such a heavily watered down version of this, in Toxic Crusaders, would bring me into enjoying all this other content years later as an adult. Plus, the action figures were awesome, and they still are. They were the same size of, I think they were made by Playmates, so they were the same, like Ninja Turtles. I was one of those people that used to take figures apart. I wasn't as bad as Sid from Toy Story, I'll admit that, but take the toys apart and put them together to make new figures and just to change it, make it interesting. But add to that, the figures, the pieces would go perfectly from Ninja Turtles to these, so I would take pieces from one and from another and just pop them in and whatever and make all kinds of weird creations and stuff like that. I was a really messed up kid, I'll admit that. I was a stupid kid back then. But I will never forget one of the figures. I wish I remember which one, because I used to have the cardboard things. I used to keep the cardboard things that came with the figures. Sadly, I don't have them anymore. But if I did, I would. I gotta see if I can find the cardboard thing where it had the info on the back of the character with the character's info on it. They had tips about being environmental friendly. I remember this very vividly. One of them said, try to use both sides of the toilet paper unless it's really yucky. I kid you not, it said that. And I'm going to try to see if I can find that. If I find it and I put it up here, you'll see it for yourself here and you'll be like, hey, this is true. If I can't find it, then I'll post something silly up here on the screen for you to look at, and you can just be like, really? But I kid you not, though, and it was one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life, and I will never forget it, though. So, and the show had its heart in the right place. I mean, it is kind of an odd idea taking an adult thing and bringing it in for children, but the 80s was full of a lot of that stuff there. And remember, when it comes to styles with decades, a lot of people will, I think some people will say that it takes about a year or two for the previous decade to die, because if you look at stuff from 1980, like in terms of music and pop culture and the pictures and stuff like that, it looks just like the 70s. It's only when you get to like 1982-ish or so, then the 80s, its own specific identity that is more commonly known as pop culture starts to come in, you know? The styles, music, movies, and that sort of thing there, you know? That's the thing with a period piece. You usually try to get stuff that's a little bit older in order for it to fit, because, you know, if you're making a movie that's set in 1996, you're not going to have a lot of cars that were made in 1996 on the road. You're going to have a lot of stuff that's older still hanging around, you know? That's just the truth of it there. But anyway, Toxic Crusaders, okay? Next. Number 11, CBS Story Break, from both versions. The one from 1985 to 1987, or the one from 1993 to 1998. Now, I know the later one had Malcolm Jamal Warner. The first one had Bob Keister, I believe, if our memory serves correctly. And a lot of great stories there. I mean, it had a more toned-down version of Raggedy Ann and Andy, not that trippy one from the 70s, but the one that was briefly animated in the 80s. It had the first version of How to Eat Fried Worms that I've ever seen. It had that great story with alien Aunt Emma, who was trying to take over the world, she was an alien and she couldn't control the children. And then that funny scene where she hypnotizes that guy in the supermarket to help her get the prize inside a box of cereal. I don't know. Also, the second best version of Cinderella I've ever seen was on here, which was an Asian one there. And she did one of the Wicked Stepmother did one of the most fucked up things I've ever seen, because the fish was magical and could talk, and was also Cinderella's best friend, only friend. And lo and behold, they caught the fish and cooked it and ate it for dinner, made her eat it for dinner. I'm like, damn, that's like Big Boss Man and Al Snow, man. That's like some fucked up stuff right there. Except there was no horrible kennel from hell match there. You know, it was just, the ghost became like the fairy godmother and, helped her out. And also there was that other story that I can't remember the name of right now, where it was a kid who was being bullied. He goes into like some sort of magic place, gets a ring that turns him into a monster, and he keeps changing, and then ultimately he stands up for himself without needing the ring or whatever. I think it's a pretty interesting message there, and I think that one done in a modern movie would have been done well. But yeah. But I get it, because all these things come from different stories or whatever, I guess it'd be almost impossible to license. But why not license them individually? Like when they had How to Eat Fried Worms as a movie, why not just have the animated version from here licensed as a bonus feature or something? That would have been pretty cool. Probably would have been almost impossible in terms of cost or whatever, but, why the heck not? Because the CBS Story Break was one of my favorite things on Saturday mornings, because there was something different, in the midst of all this action and all this other stuff there. It was nice to have a story that was just a little bit different and a little off-kilter, And wasn't there one with like robotic cowboys or something? I don't know, steampunk cowboys or what? Am I imagining that, like the thing about the kid who turned into a car or something like that? I must be imagining that too or something, but, or am I? We'll get to that later. But anyway, CBS Story Break. CBS, cut us a break and get these stories out there on DVD.
Welcome to the future. Now you can get the world's most advanced wireless exclusively from Primeco Personal Communications. One phone that offers all the advantages of digital wireless and the mobility of cellular when you need it. So you can stay in touch just about anywhere. Call 1-800-PRIMECO today, and this incredible phone from Qualcomm is only $149. Save $50. Monthly access is only $19.99 a month, and that includes 50 minutes of airtime. Activate today, and you'll get 1 month's access free when you sign up for a year. So pick up your credit card, pick up the phone, call 1-800-PRIMECO today. And by acting now, we'll give you a leather carrying case and a car charger free. $149 for the phone, $19.99 a month access, 50 included minutes, a free leather case and car charger. It's the next giant leap in wireless, only from Primeco.
We're finally in the top 10. Number 10, The Tom and Jerry Comedy Show from 1980/1982, made by our good buddies over at Filmation, who brought us the animated version of Ghostbusters with the monkey that was based on the British show called Ghostbusters, not to be confused with the one with Bill Murray that prompted the animated show called The Real Ghostbusters. But that version of Ghostbusters was okay. They also created He-Man and She-Ra later, which were awesome, you know, even if the animation was a little stilted. And plus, they also did make, if I remember correctly, didn't Filmation also make the Star Trek animated series? Star Trek animated series. And I think that's the only Emmy award that the main guy won, I believe, if I recall correctly. But either way, the Tom and Jerry Comedy Show, it was done by Filmation for MGM. Who owned the rights at the time, Tom and Jerry. And it was very low budget, had a lot of generic sounds or whatever, but I'm telling you, if this show had a soundtrack, I would buy it, because this was, I think it was the first version of Tom and Jerry I remember seeing, and it made an impact on me that made me want to see more of them, and then I got to enjoy a lot of the better cartoons later on. But the sounds are just so iconic, and like one of my favorite YouTube videos is a dude from South America, I believe, that actually plays all the generic music cues with his electric guitar, and it's awesome. I'm serious. Look it up, and you'll see it there, and it's actually a pretty cool video. But I would gladly love to see this released on DVD as its own little set there. Some of the segments from these shows, which also included Droopy and whatnot there, it was also awesome, were included later. Like every time they have like those blocks of Tom and Jerry on Cartoon Network and stuff like that, or Boomerang, occasionally you'll see a segment from here on there, but it's so infrequent and so random, it just sticks out like a sore thumb. I would say just put them all together on their own set. I mean, they've released a bunch of other sets of Tom and Jerry and some of these other cartoon characters together. I mean, hell, Droopy deserves better than having that Tex Avery set with all the DNR issues that motherfucking Mike talked about on Cinemassacre. During his one of his videos where they were looking through his video collection, he talked about a Droopy Tex Avery set of some sort there, where that particular set was not recommended because there was a lot of DNR issues because of the way that they recorded the footage. It had a lot of problems with the way the footage was presented or whatever. Well, I think that also kind of translated over to some of those Laserdisc transfers to, of certain media to and from, so that you get motion smearing and other nonsense and stuff that would happen when you look at the footage. Hence why when the unedited version of Star Wars was released, there was issues there, obviously, which I think I went into that briefly once before. But anyway, I'm not going to get into that again. But the Tom and Jerry Comedy Show, put that out there, man. It'll be awesome. Make it a budget title. You got my $5. Number 9, Mapletown. This is definitely an anomaly for me, because this is something that I have very fond childhood memories about there, because I remember we went and bought a whole bunch of stuff from Zayre from Mapletown, and the next day I had to go to school. It was my first day of school. I don't remember if it was what grade it was, though, but I thought it was really, really cool that got to do all that stuff. I was just looking forward to going through school and then going back to playing with my Mapletown toys. Even though I still had Transformers and Mask, and I think I had Mask at the time or whatever, but a lot of more macho toys, and then you have something like Mapletown coming in with the little furry anthropomorphic animals, though, that you can pose and have fun with and stuff. I thought it was just like the coolest thing ever, you know, at the time. And full disclosure, the oldest... I think the oldest MP3 file that I still have, and this is from the Napster days I'm talking about. Yes, I'm dead serious. I still have a couple of original MP3 files that I downloaded from my Napster days. Yeah, wrap your head around that, fools. And I was testing to see that, oh, this supposedly could have anything. And at the time I did a couple of searches and tried to find some stuff or whatever. And then I was like, okay. And then it brought me into TV theme songs. I'm like, TV theme songs or whatever. And then I think randomly out of the blue, Mapletown popped in my head. I searched for it. I found the theme song. I downloaded it, and I still have that file saved all these years. Although you probably can find better quality versions of that there online that you can listen to or watch for free. It was still pretty cool, the fact that I was able to find that, and it just opened up the floodgates for me. And there was some releases on VHS, and the Mapletown was released on DVD in other countries around the world. I still have some of my VHS copies there or whatnot. And it's actually some of the first stuff I ever bought on eBay, oddly enough. I think those were the first things I ever bought on eBay, some of those VHS tapes. Go figure. But, yeah, just a fun little adventures with these anthropomorphic animals or whatnot there. Although I don't know if any of the episodes that were broadcast in the U.S. Were adaptations of the second version of the original anime where the girl goes to another town or whatnot, and it's a completely different cast except for the main girl, Patty Rabbit or whatever. But it taught a lot of interesting stuff, and I thought it was really well made and very cool, you know. So, give a little shout out there to the glorious Japan anime that brought us Mapletown, and re-release it, and put it on DVD in Region 1. Make it a manufacturer on demand set, or, go from there. I think it would be pretty awesome. I can't wait to get back to Mapletown. My favorite place to be. Put Mapletown on DVD. Thank you. Next.